What's going on, guys? Eugene here, and let's talk about Deathloop. The game is developed by Arkane Studios, which are known for their games such as Dishonored and Prey. So there is a lot of similarities between these, especially in the gameplay when you're holding in one hand a gun and in the left one either an ability or some item that will help you to do something. In the story, you play as a Colt, a professional assassin trapped on a mysterious island and in a mysterious loop. Every time when you die, you reset at the beginning of the town or island on the beach without your belongings, without anything that you collected during your gameplay, and you need to start anew. At the same time, island is inhabited by people in masks that are trying to stop you. Then there you have visionaries, which are something like bosses and looks like the researchers behind this loop. And also there is Julianne, a mysterious woman that has some kind of connection to the cult, either prior to the loop or during the loop, and it looks like she knows a lot about him and he knows a lot about her. Unfortunately, Colt doesn't remember anything, and as you progress through the story, you start to either recollect your memories or learning some stuff anew. Now, all story, like what happened before the loop or during the loop, who are you, who is Juliana, how you connected, and more, is actually told traditionally, like in any Arkane games, through the objects that you find. With voice recordings, letters, radio. Basically, don't expect any huge cutscenes or cinematics that suddenly tells you everything. Sometimes there is a cinematic, but like a small one, and it's actually like a painting style, but everything else is always seen through the first person, as in Dishonored or Prey. Now, the gameplay is a lot about planning and taking actions. As I said before, you on one hand have a gun, and on the other hand you have item that either can hack stuff, or if you acquire, you have different abilities similar to the one you've seen in Dishonored. Like you can teleport in a certain place, or you can dash forward. Also you have double jumps, more and more. These abilities or items you usually lose when the loop restarts. There is a possibility for you to keep them through the loop, but to do that you need to collect special resources. Now, the loop itself is also strange. When you die twice, you return just a couple seconds behind, and you can still engage in the fights where you died, or you can still progress through the mission as before. But when you die a third time, you're actually reset to the beginning of the loop on that said beach. Also, the loop resets when day ends, and day is divided into 4 parts here: morning, midday, afternoon, and evening. These are important since at your disposal you have 4 sandbox areas that always in the different day looks differently. Also, for example, one of the visionaries that you need to kill, or in this case basically bosses, they only appear at a certain time of the day at a certain location, and your goal is to kill all of them within one day. Of course, there's a lot of preparation. You need to pick up any abilities that you have, infuse them so you can keep them through the loop, learn all the patterns of each visionary, what they're doing, how they're behaving. Also, you need to know how the area around them changes, like whether there are more enemies or less. And at the end, you just need to complete this very hard task, while Juliana is actually here to stop you. Interesting about Juliana is the fact that she can be controlled by any other player if you allow it. Basically, anyone who finished already the main mission can take up a Juliana and join your game and try to end things for you. Now, the graphic design is quite nice, especially that each part of the day does not only change how sun shines on what side, but also changes like the environment. Like for example, when you go in the midday, it suddenly is covered with snow, and actually each area looks very differently in each part of the day. Also, the setting and designs of the levels look like a futuristic 1960, basically something like they did with Dishonored, where you have a combination of futuristic and the old stuff, something that Arkane is very famous for, and here they didn't disappoint. The setting, design of the weapons, design of the levels is just really amazing. Now, the positive sides of this game is the fact that, as I said, settings, the design of the levels, also your ability to approach mission any way you want. You can climb anything. If you have abilities that allows you, you can actually go through the roofs without anyone noticing. I love the fact that instead of regular silence weapon, you have a nails weapon. So if you need to kill silently, you shoot the nails into the head. Ouch. Also, I love the design of the loop where you retain basically all the knowledge and all the information, so when you're replaying the second day, you already know where to go, where to collect anything that you need, and also where the enemies are. So more and more, you're more experienced, more learned about your environment and what to do. And suddenly when you play the same district or a part for the 4th time or 6th time, it looks completely different from when you played it for the first time. And this is like really something cool. Also, I love the characters in these games, especially Juliana and Colt. Colt is amazing. He's kind of like dorky and geeky, but at the same time he rages a lot and he loves killing people. Just this crazy geeky guy that, to be honest, is something really unusual in the game. Plus, the amazing about the gameplay is the fact that you get to plan everything, since when you're playing you're learning everything about these visionaries or bosses, and so at the end of the day all comes to this one day that you need to plan fully and you cannot make a mistake. Negative sides, I would say, is the fact that when you're in some area the time stays still, but when you return back to your base, or in this case tunnels where you can plan everything, suddenly the time moves, and this becomes a problem when, for example, you cannot infuse some item for you to keep throughout the loop. You go outside to grab some guns, some weapons, or collect residuum with which you can infuse this weapon, and when you return back suddenly it's the end of the day and you cannot go back, and so suddenly you cannot infuse an item. You wake up again on the beach, you have items that you infused before but not the particular one that you wanted. That becomes a little bit frustrating. Also, since there is a multiplayer present, any player can join with Juliana into your game, each area is built as a different server. So when you're switching, either you're going back to your base or you're going back into some area, you actually have to wait for a server to load. Also, all the time I was receiving these windows that I'm disconnected from Bethesda servers and then I'm connected again, and during the intense fights when suddenly these windows are non-stop popping, is just frustrating. Also, what happened to me like 3 or 4 times, my game completely froze. I could not do anything. I actually had to wait for like 5 minutes until I can move around again. And I think that the problem was the fact that you have different servers and there is a communication in between them, and so that makes sometimes the technical issues present. Now, to summarize this all up, or to say a final verdict, first of all, this game is a slow starter. Because in the beginning, when you don't have any weapons, when you don't have any abilities, you're basically sneaking around. So you're non-stop crawling, non-stop killing silently, and everything goes really slow. Because if you go guns blazing, you won't survive long, since you don't have possibilities to do. But once you start to collect, dash, double jump, you have different abilities, you have different cool guns like powerful shotguns or long-range rifles, suddenly the game becomes intense, and the sneaking around, you can just forget about it. Yeah, you maybe try it, but all these abilities and weapons, they prompt you to go crazy on it, and honestly, when you do, some amazing gameplay is happening. You are confusing your enemy so much that they have no idea what's happening, and suddenly it becomes very fun. But you need to get to the point. Unfortunately, until that point, you have to do everything silently. And once you become this machine of pure movement and bullets, then you have a day to take out 8 targets, and for you to plan it and do everything is really nice. And I must say, this whole setting in 1960 and you running around is just amazing. And I really hope that Arkane fixes a little these bugs and a little bit like decreases the time between switching, although that is nothing that serious. This game is really nice, and after a couple months since we didn't have any new good titles to come our way, this is the one that I would suggest you to pick up. Fortunately, now it's a limited time exclusive. Limited time because now it's for PS5 and PC, but in the future definitely for Xbox and PS4. And maybe at that time the price will a little bit drop for the game. And so if you happen to stumble upon it, definitely grab that game. You can lose yourself in that world, replaying the day after day and just conquering time. So big like for me. I hope you enjoyed this video, guys. I hope it give you a little bit of glimpse what the game is like and whether you should pick it up or not. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you for likes, comments and subs if you do them, and I see you in the next one. And as always, keep on playing, my friends.